everybody, and welcome to another Lewis Hamilton reference lap, provided by Uneven Asphalt. And now we are getting into what I call Death Valley for me. These were the hardest tracks for me to conquer this feat, and it took me a lot longer than some of the other ones before, especially the Nordschleife, which is actually surprising because I was pretty garbage at the Nordschleife. Anyways, so Brands Hatch. Why I do like the track, it's a very, very tight course. You really gotta hit your marks, and doesn't suit me quite well, especially the first corner. Struggled and struggled and struggled, and eventually we hit on a flyer. So, as always, play the lap in full, at full speed, and then we will break it down corner by corner. So, here we go.
Wow, where did that come from? Mega lap.
So we have it, a time of 122.880. Just edging out Lewis Hamilton, but hey. And as you can actually see from my previous time, I was right there, but just couldn't get over the hump. So, alright, let's break down the course. So, starting with the first corner, kind of hard to really pick out a reference point. I actually had to use Lewis's Ghost to try to figure it out. And then once I got the hang of it, I turned off the Ghost. Now, there's probably two ways I could tell you where to brake. It depends on how quick you can pick up on things. The easiest way is basically when you pass this two board to just softly press on the brakes, let the car coast towards the apex of the corner, and kind of when the road starts to level out on you, slowly feed on the gas. Now, if you really have a keen eye, which I'll just play right basically when the front of the car hits this part of the barrier that's colored green and white. That's the ideal place I found to brake. Now at speed it's gonna be really, really hard, hence I kind of suggest the just after you pass the two board to start braking. So I'll play it. So there we go, down to third, slowly off the brakes, not really using any gas or brake, kind of just letting the car coast to the apex. Now when it starts to level out a little bit, start feeding on the gas. Right? So then going into this corner, you want to brake just when you reach this red part of the barrier over here. And what you should do, which I failed to do in this one, and this is probably one of my only few mistakes on this lap, you want to immediately dive for the inside of the corner because this corner is a little bit off camber and it tends to push you out wide. If you dive towards the corner and keep a tight line, you'll be able to negate that effect. But as you'll see here, I try to dive in, I'm just carrying just a little bit too much speed and putting a little too much brake in, and I'm a little bit wide, but not the end of the world. Now, this curb, if you are turning aggressively and getting on the gas, you will slide and maybe spin. Um, so if you're gonna use this outer part of the curb, kind of make sure the car is straight and the trajectory of the car is pointing outward so that you don't face this problem. And then just before this one board over here, you want to slowly on the brakes into two, get towards the apex. At the apex, start gassing. You could use a lot of this outside curb over here, and you won't get a penalty. It won't affect you, and you actually are gaining some time on Lewis. Now, right before this, I guess you could call it curbing. This curbing over here ends. That's kind of what you want to use as your braking reference. You kind of want to brake and immediately go for the inside. But fair warning, don't use the curves. The curves are gonna upset you. It's basically like try to keep as close to the curves as you can without actually touching them. And then right when basically the front wheels cross this line over here, which is basically the split towards the Indy part of Brands Hatch, not the full circuit. That's when you want to start feeding in on the gas and track out. And if you get it right, you'll actually get a good run on Lewis. As you can see, we're improving time. Now, these next few, you kind of need to keep a careful eye. Because we're actually going to be using the red part of those barriers over here as our braking reference. So, into this long right sweeper, it's very, very tight. You basically, there's only one line, really. And surprisingly, I gained on Lewis on this one. Now, you want to brake just when you reach the red part on the right over here. You want to trail brake, let the car coast, and then basically as soon as you, right here, see the curb sticking out here from the barrier, you want to feed in on the gas and track out. So now into the next corner, now you want to use just before you hit the red part of the barrier on the left. That's going to be your braking reference over here. Downshift into third. Now, you want to use as much of this curb as you can without completely upsetting the car. It will upset the car a little bit, but you kind of want it to track out wide. Basically, the point here is that you want to have enough momentum to swing out and let the curves on the outside help you kind of regain composure to push you back towards the circuit. So you can see upset. Now, this is basically as much as you want to use, and I got very lucky, I will admit, because I have gone even just a smidge more aggressive, and the gravel trap wound up sucking me out. And I'm pretty sure I'm like teetering between this upper part of the curb and the gravel trap, and I'm just teetering for life basically. So now this next corner over here is going to be very, very tricky. Basically, as soon as the road straightens out, you want to start braking, but just brake gently to not completely upset the car. Brands Hatch really emphasizes on smooth and subtle inputs. And again, like the last corner, you want to use as much of the curb as you can. It will upset the car a little bit, but we got enough room over here to gas out. And then basically you want to brake just before this one board, probably right before you hit this shaded part over here. It's probably very naughty to use shadows as braking points as, you know, the sun moves and stuff. But just for this instance, for the Lewis Hamilton time challenge, use the shadow when about to start for that tree, which is basically about a car's width away from this one board over here. You want to keep a very, very tight line through here, as it does spit you out wide. So heading into the last corner, we are going to brake somewhere between the 2 and the 1, and you kind of have to make a judgment call as to where. Now, I will tell you that we do have a restaurant turning in. It's basically the beginning of this access road over here. You want to use this as your turning point. So brake somewhere around between the 2 and the 1. Probably around here somewhere. Um, if I go back, do we have any reference points? Not really. I mean, if you have a keen eye, you can use again that green part, but we're carrying so much speed, and I'm already looking for my apex that I'm kind of just guessing between the 2 and the 1. So, break somewhere between, start turning in at the beginning of the access road. Again, once the road starts to level out, I had to back out a little bit. That's probably my only other mistake. Basically on exit, you want to go towards the inside of the track as much as you can. And that is a lap of Brands Hatch for your diamond.
Wow, where did that come from?
So thanks for watching, everyone. So 7 down, 3 more to go.